Picture a creature that comes out only at night, flies in unpredictable zigzags, and has been blamed for everything from rabies to global pandemics. Most people see a bat and feel one thing: fear, but here's what almost nobody realizes. If bats disappeared tomorrow, the disaster that would follow wouldn't come from the bats. It would come from everything they were quietly holding back. Bats have one of the worst reputations of any animal on Earth. They're tied to vampires, horror movies, dark caves, and disease outbreaks. In some cultures, they're considered bad omens. In cities, people pay exterminators just to get rid of them. And during recent pandemics, bats were blamed publicly, sometimes unfairly, as the source of dangerous viruses. It's easy to understand the fear. They're nocturnal, they look strange up close, and most people have never actually seen one doing anything except flying erratically near a porch light. But that fear is hiding one of the most important relationships in the natural world. Before we get into why bats matter, it helps to understand what they actually are. Bats are the only mammals capable of true, sustained flight, not gliding, actual flight, using wings made of thin skin stretched between elongated finger bones. There are over 1,400 species of bats worldwide, ranging from tiny bats the size of a thumb to flying foxes with wingspans over 5 feet. Most bats fall into two broad categories: insect-eating bats, which use echolocation to hunt in total darkness, and fruit or nectar-eating bats, which rely more on sight and smell. Insect-hunting bats find their prey using echolocation, sending out high-frequency sound pulses and listening for the echoes that bounce back. It's so precise that some bats can detect a moth-sized target in pitch darkness while flying at full speed, adjusting their call pattern in real time as they close in on prey. It's one of the most sophisticated biological sonar systems on the planet, and it's a major reason bats are such efficient hunters. They're not flying around randomly catching whatever crosses their path. They're actively tracking and targeting specific insects all night, every night. Let's start with the role that most people have never thought about: pest control. A single insect-eating bat can consume thousands of mosquitoes in a single night. Multiply that by an entire colony, and you're looking at a natural pest control system working for free every single night across entire regions. This matters more than it sounds. Mosquitoes aren't just annoying, they're the deadliest animal on the planet to humans, responsible for spreading malaria, dengue, and other diseases that kill hundreds of thousands of people every year. Bats also eat enormous numbers of crop-damaging insects, like moths and beetles, before those insects can lay eggs and multiply. In the United States alone, researchers have estimated that bats save farmers more than $3 billion a year in pest control and reduced pesticide use. That's not a guess. That's based on actual agricultural data, comparing regions with healthy bat populations to regions without them. Take the bats away, and farmers don't just lose a cute animal, they lose a multi-billion-dollar pest control service, and the replacement is more chemical pesticides sprayed onto the food we eat. Insect-eating bats aren't the only ones doing important work. Fruit and nectar-eating bats are responsible for pollinating and spreading the seeds of hundreds of plant species: mangoes, bananas, guavas, and agave, the plant tequila is made from, all depend partly or entirely on bats for pollination. In some regions, agave farmers have started actively protecting local bat populations because without them, the plants struggle to reproduce naturally, and the entire tequila industry becomes harder to sustain. In tropical rainforests, fruit bats are considered keystone pollinators, meaning their disappearance wouldn't just affect a few plants, it would ripple through the entire forest ecosystem. Bats are also responsible for spreading the seeds of pioneer plants, the first plants to grow back in cleared or damaged areas of rainforest. In some studies, bats were found responsible for up to 95% of seed dispersal in early rainforest regrowth. Without them, deforested areas would take significantly longer to recover naturally, if they recovered at all. Now, here's where theory becomes documented reality. Starting around 2006, a fungal disease called white nose syndrome began spreading through bat populations in North America. The fungus grows on the skin of hibernating bats, disrupting their hibernation cycles and causing them to wake up repeatedly during winter, burning through fat reserves they need to survive until spring. The disease has killed an estimated 6 million bats or more across the United States and Canada, wiping out some local populations by over 90%. Researchers tracking the aftermath found measurable consequences. In counties where bat populations collapsed, farmers increased pesticide use to compensate for the lost pest control. Some studies linked the increased pesticide exposure to a rise in infant mortality rates in affected agricultural counties. an unsettling but real correlation found by economists studying the data. This is one of the clearest documented cases of an animal collapse leading directly to measurable harm in human communities. It wasn't a model or a prediction. It was an actual unplanned experiment in what happens when you remove bats from an ecosystem, and the results were not good. Of course, the fear around bats and disease isn't entirely made up. Bats can carry rabies, like many mammals, and some bat species have been linked as a possible original source for certain viruses, including early theories about COVID-19. But the actual risk to most people is extremely low. The overwhelming majority of bats do not have rabies, and transmission to humans is rare and almost always involves direct contact, like handling a sick bat. The same way you'd avoid any wild animal eliminates nearly all practical risk while still allowing bats to do the ecological work they've done for millions of years.